Let's get into the Bills and their new stadium. A lot of changes with the Buffalo. Got a new head coach. They promoted Joe Brady from offensive coordinator. They traded for DJ Moore, second round pick, and some swappies in there as well. Brought in new defensive coordinator from Denver, Jim Leonard, someone I'm very high on. But we'll start on the offense first. Still have Josh Allen. Still have 4 of their 5 offensive linemen. They dropped in DJ Moore. That's really the biggest change, along with a kind of a little bit of a battle at left guard. Other than that, man, kind of the same old Bills on offense, even the same old play caller from the last year and a half plus. What are we thinking about the Bills? What is the one thing you're focusing on this season, or really just wanted to highlight as maybe a key to this offense that you want to talk about, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the battle at left guard you mentioned, that's really the one. It's like that and wide receiver 3. Those are kind of the big competitions for this team. You know, is it right? That's really not too bad, right? Like, is it Keon Coleman, and maybe a different tweaked role? Is it Josh Palmer? Sounds like he's actually kind of fallen pretty out of favor for that potential spot. They've talked up day 3 draft pick Skylar Bell potentially, who I think could fit in as like kind of a movement Z receiver, but obviously he's a day 3 rookie. That would be kind of a big thing to throw him into the mix there. The only other thing I would note about their offense that I do, there's been some rumblings out of training camp about this, like the running backs being more involved in the passing game, which I think would be interesting for Josh Allen, because you remember when they drafted James Cook, they talked about, Brandon Beane was so obsessed and upset with the fact that he didn't get J.D. McKissick that he's like, well, I got to turn around and draft James Cook, to kind of be that replacement as the pass catcher. And that's actually really not been what Cook has honestly become much more of like just a true runner, in the NFL. Like that's what he's been, I think outkicked expectations on, and he hasn't been that involved in the passing game. But in addition to Joe Brady obviously being promoted to head coach, they bring in Pete Carmichael as the offensive coordinator from Denver, obviously with longtime Saints offensive coordinator. We know that offense, which Brady has his roots in as well, really involved the running backs in screen game as, outlet receivers and everything. So that's just a wrinkle for a team that, of course, the headliner is DJ Moore, and we'll talk about DJ Moore, but in their kind of quest to be a better man coverage beating team, because they really only made one move at receiver, and we'll talk about how much that will move the needle. This is one area where I think that might also help them be a little bit more beyond just like, let's spam mesh on third down. How can we beat man coverage? Maybe the running backs, specifically James Cook and Ty Johnson in the passing game, that could potentially be an answer for them there.
Right there, you mentioned Ty Johnson at the end. Yeah, it's not even just Cook. Ty Johnson's got a little juice as a pass catcher as well. Yeah, you brought it up when we did top 10 offenses, and you said like choice routes, and that like a light bulb turned on. I was like, oh yeah, they're gonna run the crap out of choice routes like that. Joe Brady loves them. That's a Sean Payton staple. Now Pete Carmichael's there, so I feel like even the Pete Carmichael addition, it's like whatever you want to say about him, he's not calling plays, but like he is going to solidify, maybe like kind of go to like, hey, this is what your roots are, Joe Brady. Remember this in the passing game. So maybe there's some 989 with DJ Moore. I wouldn't really like the other 9 option on that. But I would like DJ Moore vertical.
Would you also like the 8 really, with the Khalil Shakir? I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe Shakir. Actually, maybe. Kincaid could be a good 8 runner. That'd actually be that's
a good point.
Kincaid. I would like Kincaid.
Either of those guys.
It's not a wheel route in the red zone.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
it's not a money play wheel route that he gets. For them on offense, it's you already mentioned, it's like when you're kind of left guard and receiver 3 are biggest question marks, you're not in a bad spot. You can argue how good DJ Moore is, but I do think he's a good fit in this offense. He might be another choice route runner. I actually think Shakir would be a good choice route runner as well. But I love that you're bringing up the run game. This run game has been dynamite for the last couple seasons. 3rd in rushing success rate on running back runs. 1st in yards before contact on running back runs per run last year, over 2 yards. And the 4th in explosive run rate on design runs. That includes Josh Allen's runs there. The one thing that I did notice, though, and this is what really kind of my one-liner on the Bills offense is, what's the next step? Okay, Joe Brady's been in this offense for a few years. He's talked about him and Josh Allen seem like they have a great relationship. He won't shut up about how I'm going to challenge him and I'm going to push his buttons and I want him to dominate, all this stuff. It's like, all right. We get it. You're the substitute teacher, puts his feet up on the desk. But I want to see if there is a next step here. Where you mentioned the mesh joke bit, but that's a real thing, is they want to run this run game, whether it's 12 personnel, whether it's 13 personnel with Jackson Hawes, and they get into those hip formations a ton. And they're really good running the ball out of those formations. Is there a new layer to that formation? Is it shotgun run game with bubbles galore? Do they have a new layer on that with those Dalton Kincaid and Khalil Shakir bubbles? The pass game's relying on crossers and shot plays. They have a sturdy O-line, but I really do think this is kind of similar to what I talked about with the Bengals. You have a good O-line and you have a quarterback that can chuck it. And now you got a nice little vertical threat in DJ Moore. Are you going to push the ball a little bit? That's non-play action. Are you just going to get under center, drop back, and chuck it? Or are you going to get under center and actually have like a full field passing game? That's part of the Sean Payton DNA, that Joe Brady could tap into. I think Josh Allen can handle it mentally. And I bring this up because there's proof in the pudding. It's not just eye test that I think they become a little safer as passing. Josh Allen has, and there's good and bad with that. But I think sometimes you want Josh Allen to be Josh Allen and just let him go. But air yards on under center pass plays on early downs. I know that sounds niche, but they have a good amount of them. The air yards in 2025 for Josh Allen was 8.8. From 2020 to 2022, it was 10.5. Yeah, we made a graph. Way to go, producers.
There we go.
You guys killing it. In 2023, that went up all the way up to 12.6. It's really, really cut down. This is just the overall one that you see right here, air yards. But when under center, it's gone down from 12.6 to 8.8 last year. Overall, in 2022, it got up to 9.2 yards. Last year, 7.3, almost 2 yards shorter. And now some of the defenses, while they play that. How they're playing right now is a part of that. But the Bills face the least amount of cloud coverage, or one of the lowest amounts of cloud coverage, because of all those big personnel groupings they use, and probably the lack of receiver threat as well. But then the other stat here is sacks per dropback has dropped up. Josh Allen, or popped up. Josh Allen has been kind of top 5 consistently of not taking sacks, when he's been good the last kind of like 4 or 5 years. Last year, it shot through the roof. It went from 2.2% in 2024 to 5.8%. Now I do per drop back here because he scrambles a ton, so I want to include those as opposed to just attempts. And explosive dropbacks from under center dropped down too. Went from 29.2% to 17.9%. And I bring this all up, and it sounds niche. They want to be a run game that can go under center and pound the rock, and then go off of that. Where's the go off of that is basically what I'm saying. I want to see more of the kind of next steps from their fastballs, which to me is, we joke about the mesh, but the shotgun bubble game, the under center run game with James Cook, whether it's zone or duo, what's the next step from that? Because right now it feels a little bit too tight. And that's why mesh doesn't work great, because safeties can just plow down and, nail the crossers because they're not threatened over the top. So long-winded way to say is, what else do you got? Is basically what I want to see. I want to see a little bit more aggression, and maybe DJ Moore allows that.
Yeah, I think it has to be DJ Moore here, and I don't have a lot of. I think it's tough to have a lot of conviction on Moore because the last 2 years of his career have been really bizarre, I think, for two different. I mean, he had his great year with Justin Fields in 2023 with the Bears, statistically the best year of his career. The last 2 seasons with Caleb Williams, and I think, honestly, where Caleb is at this point in his career, especially his first season, a lot of sacks and throwaways. The per route numbers look worse on Moore, I think, probably than his actual play would indicate. But I do think his actual play also kind of declined, and that was relevant in his reception perception charting data too. Like, it definitely is not where it was even last season, where he was, I think, better in 25 than he was in 24, is definitely lower than where it was in his best years in Carolina. That being said, though, I also I tweeted this out that I think you could paint like a narrative on DJ Moore that he's just, and I think this is true, he's not a good fit. It's actually beyond a narrative. I think narrative wise, he's not a good fit in Ben Johnson's offense. I think that's true. Even just beyond the fact that, like, Ben is a really, details heavy coach, and DJ Moore is not a very details heavy receiver. He can be a little loosey goosey with the timing and the depth. And I've talked about this where I interviewed Josh Allen several years ago, and he talked about how it's like, that's not a real concern for him. Like, he's more of a, hey, if that route's supposed to be 12 yards and you get open at 7, it's my job to go find you. So I do think their connection will be good. And the other area, I think that this overlaps into this offense as opposed to Ben Johnson's offense. Ben's offense last year for the primary outside receiver is very, very like out and dig heavy. That kind of 90-degree big breaking routes to take shot plays off play action and all those things. Those are just not DJ Moore's best routes. Like, all throughout the course of his career charting him, it's nines, it's curls, and slants, or like these deeper stop routes, right? And we don't really have a good approximation of what would make what's Joe Brady wanted as X receiver, because they just haven't really had that guy on the roster, right?
Yeah.
But the best, I think, approximation of it is Keon Coleman in his rookie year when he was actually playing more, and 28% of his routes I charted that year were 9 routes, 17.7% of his routes were curls, 25% slants. Those are the only 3 that he was above the NFL average rate. So I do think you can map Moore's skill set pretty well onto the routes that he'll run like in this offense. So I think that you could make an argument that Moore is just a better fit for this system, and he will give 2 of the answers that you were talking about there. One, against like man coverage on, third down, he can run that quick slant and get off press and win quickly, as opposed to like, we got to design with mesh and all that stuff, or a deep stop route, something like that. Or he can actually get over the top and like run a 9 route. And he made big plays down the football field last year for Chicago, even in an offense that obviously, like I said, didn't really fit him. So I don't really have like a ton of conviction. If you're asking me like, what is the production going to look like on DJ Moore? I think there's no question that he helps the offense.
Yeah. Everyone slots down to the right spot. And I'm glad you brought up even the charting right there, because that's in my brain. I remember DJ Moore in Carolina having success, and with Justin Fields having success as being more vertical and kind of a traditional X route tree, even though he's not built like that.
Even though he's not built like that, right? Yeah, that's who
he's always been like that.
Stylistically, he's more like you want him getting on the move as a Z. That's why he's a kind of a fascinating player in this way. It's like you almost think of him as and I think he can do this stuff too in this offense. Like there's going to be times where you want to just stick, Keon or whatever as the outside on ball receiver and allow Moore to do some, screens and create a touch stuff where you get the ball in his hands. He's good at that. But the parts where he's like best as a route runner is actually not like break this at this depth and we're going to spit the football to you and you're going to run with it after catch. It's more the straight line vertical stuff.
Vertical route tree. I know, yeah, and even the screen stuff is going to help out too, because if Joe Brady might evolve and they might have new steps to this offense, but they're not going to totally move away from all those screens and bubbles and everything. So that's only going to help, is what I'm going to say.